Imagine a time before borders, before nations, before history books. A world dominated not by kings or emperors, but by fierce tribes whose power echoed across continents. They didn't build marble cities or write down their laws. Instead, they carved their legacy into the hearts of their enemies through war, fear, and freedom. Why did these tribes rise to power? What secrets made them unstoppable? Today, we uncover 5 of the most powerful ancient tribes you've probably never heard of, but should never forget. 1. The Scythians, the nomad archers of death. The Scythians roamed the vast Eurasian steppes over 2,500 years ago. They didn't settle in cities, they didn't grow crops. Instead, they lived on horseback, breathing dust and wind. Herodotus, the Greek historian, described them as fierce and nearly invincible. What made them terrifying was their mastery of mounted archery. Imagine warriors who could shoot multiple arrows while galloping full speed. They were the original special forces. Their arrows were tipped with poison, and they decorated their bodies with tattoos of eagles and wolves. They didn't just win battles. They vanished into the plains, leaving no trace but fear. That's why they earned a chilling nickname, the Nomad Archers of Death. No army could catch them. No wall could stop them. Their society was deeply connected to nature. They worshipped the sun, horses, and the afterlife. Archaeologists found stunning gold artifacts, which hint at a rich spiritual culture beneath their fierce exterior. These treasures reveal a civilization that valued art as much as war. Some say their legacy survives in the legends of ghost riders and swift shadows that haunt the steppes. The Scythians were not just warriors. They were the embodiment of the wild, untamed spirit of the ancient world. 2. The Huns, terror from the east. Then came the Huns, a storm from the east that shook the Roman Empire to its core. Their leader Attila was known as the Scourge of God. These weren't just raiders, they were conquerors. The Huns moved quickly and struck with deadly force, using composite bows and surprise attacks. Their appearance alone was terrifying to the Romans. Flat faces, scarred cheeks, and fierce eyes. Cities fell. Empires paid gold just for peace. But the Huns were more than just fighters. They were nomads like the Scythians, relying on speed and cunning. They terrorized Europe, but also forced the Romans to change their military strategies forever. Attila died mysteriously on his wedding night, but the fear he sowed lived on for centuries in stories and legends of invincible horsemen coming from the east. Number 3. The Thracians. Wild warriors of the Balkans. Deep in the Balkan mountains lived the Thracians, a people both wild and skilled in war. Their reputation, fearless, brutal, and free. They fought with curved swords and painted their faces before battle. But they were not just savages. They had poets, gods, and gold. Spartacus, the legendary gladiator who nearly overthrew Rome, was Thracian. They were raiders, mercenaries, and rebels. Rome feared their mountain ambushes and even hired them for elite forces. The Thracians didn't care for empires. They cared for honor, battle, and the songs sung after victory. Their culture was rich with myths and rituals. They worshipped powerful gods of war and nature, and their music and dance echoed through the forests and hills. 4. The Celts, spiritual warriors of Europe. Across Europe, from Ireland to Anatolia, the Celts thrived. To the Romans, they were barbarians. To themselves, they were chosen. They entered battle with blue war paint and fierce cries, led by druids who summoned the will of the gods. Their weapons were ornate, their shields round, and their courage unmatched. But what made them unique was their spirituality. Life, death, and nature were all connected. They burned sacred groves, made offerings to rivers, and honored warriors who died in battle. They resisted Rome for centuries, not for land, but for soul. Their influence is still seen today in myths, art, and languages across Europe. Number 5. The Assyrians, masters of war and fear. Unlike the others, the Assyrians built cities, but their power came from fear. They were the first real masters of siege warfare. Iron weapons, chariots, war elephants. They didn't just defeat enemies, they erased them. Cities were burned, prisoners flayed alive, rebellions crushed. Their kings carved scenes of war into palace walls, bragging about rivers of blood. But they also brought order, roads, taxes, writing. They were brutal and brilliant. The Assyrian Empire became the blueprint for future empires through dominance, terror, and ruthless efficiency. These tribes may not have built pyramids or palaces, but their impact was no less powerful. They were forces of chaos, freedom, and change. Which tribe do you think was the most powerful? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want more hidden stories from ancient history, subscribe for more. Because sometimes, the most powerful people in history never made it into the textbooks.